Hello, Jamie from Inky&Scrappy, sharing with you today my Winter Bird stamp set series, Card 5, Building a Snowman. So to start, I was kind of pulling out some pieces that I had on my desk that I was like, I need to clean these up. And so I've been trying to get better about actually making something with them instead of like setting them onto a pile. I have piles of half-done projects. If you know, right? And so I was like, well, let me find some ink colors to match this background. So I had actually created the background when I was working on my Brewing Up with Creativity for November class for Inky and the one that I do live. I did do it live on YouTube, but I did some blue tones. I wasn't feeling the color palette on that one when I did it. I love how this card turned out though, and pastels are not my go-to ever. It's just not something I usually do. But I did love the color combo on this one. So the color combo on my background, you can see the very bottom of it there is Marigold. And then I ended up with Tattered Rose and then Crushed Velvet. Why those three colors? Because those are the colors I have extras of that I picked up at Hobby Lobby on clearance for like $1.74 a pad for my class tote. And so I was trying to use what I had because then I would have had, 2 ink pads of each color for class. And I just, I wasn't feeling it that day when I was prepping for class or trying to figure out my color combos. But I really love this color combo with that Salvaged Patina in there. And then I did bring in I want to say it was coral. Is it coral pink? I think that's the one. I'm sure it was on the first picture you saw, and I don't remember it offhand. So to save on paper or to use up scraps, I just had a white piece of scrap paper here. It's probably a 110-pound cardstock, maybe 80-pound. I don't know. I just ink blended on it the colors that I wanted for my scarf, my mittens, my nose. The black piece is for behind the eyes and the mouth on the Build a Snowman from Fawn. And then, of course, I'm coming in with some Bruce Monroe aqua pigments in, I want to guess this one is probably Violet Frost. It might be Blue Frost. And splattering that liberally onto my background here. And, of course, my piece of paper that I'm going to cut out. So I'm going to wait for that to dry and come back to it while I work on some of the other things. So I'm going to color in my birds. Now, for my birds, because it's a pastel card, I really didn't want to do anything too bright and bold for my birds. So I ended up pulling in just a YR or a Y. I think it's a Y something. I just pulled in an orange for the beak. It really didn't matter. But the big one on this one was the colors I used for the birds to make them brown. So I pulled from my old one. So I used 102, 104, and 128. But I did include up above in that left-hand corner the colors in the second number there is from the Ohuhu Oahu bullet nib line in, I think it's like the 320 palette, or their new numbering system for that one. And then, of course, if there was a third one, I have the 72 in the brush, and so that's what you will see there for the first two. I don't think From Dust is actually in the brush line. I'm not positive. I will be checking that out because I did ask for those for Christmas. We'll see if Santa delivers. But I did include the colors behind there because the color names should match with the brush markers. So if you do color with the Ohuhu brush markers, that is what those names are for. So I don't know which ones are going to cross over for that last one. But you should be able to find a lighter tone of brown that would work here. But I absolutely loved the coloring on this brown bird. It does dry back a little bit, so it is definitely softer than it looks on camera here. And then just going in with that lightest color to kind of do a two-tone on the face, so putting that drop shadow in where I think a drop shadow would go, and then coloring the rest out. I kept all of these fairly simple. I didn't, I just wanted to dark on the outside, little bits and then lighter throughout. And then, of course, for the little scarf, I'm just going to come in with a tealy tone here. All of my color palettes here are on my blog up on the right-hand side of the page. Up on top, it says Ohuhu Color Blends. And I do have all of my new ones up there, I think. I added them today. So, or Black Friday 2023. So they should be up there. So I'm going to take that panel that I had done. Of course, I had run it through the die cut machine with a 3D embossing folder. Anything that kind of has that swirly, snowflakey look looks beautiful for a background. Now I'm also going to pull in, because I had an extra piece of this that I had used for, I cut it out for the snowflake on something. And so I had the extra of this one sitting on my desk. I'm like, I'm going to throw this on top. I love using that inside out stitched snowflake from Lawn Fawn for a focal point on my card front. It just kind of gives that little pop of color behind, but you can also go with a fairly simple, I don't know, that white card front with that pop of color behind. Just kind of, I don't know. I think it's pretty. Anyways. So I had cut all of my little Build a Snowman bits out from the set, and then I'm just trying to decide how I'm going to do this. So I wanted the little birds to kind of build the snowman, or show you building the snowman. And you will see I might have forgotten that my snowman needed a carrot nose. It'll come later, I promise. So I kind of wanted him mostly put together so you kind of knew what was going on. Hence why. And then, of course, I didn't really know layout yet. I was kind of playing with it, trying to figure out what would work best and go from there. So just gluing the scarf pieces together and then putting those on there. So the snowman is actually cut up some white glitter cardstock. It's old. I want to say it's die cut with a view glitter cardstock. I'm pretty sure I picked it up at Joann's at some point in time in the last 15 years. Yeah. Any white glitter cardstock would work. It does match perfectly though. This one matches perfectly with the diamond sickles from Ranger, so it's kind of like kismet. You will see what I mean. So I'm going to add my snowman on there. I'm leaving some room on the bottom for my sentiment. I probably should have put my sentiment on there already, but we all know how great I am at adding my sentiment. So I had decided that the little bird was probably going to struggle with getting that glove up on, or that mitten up onto the branch. So hence the mama bird is coming in from the top with the branch, and that little baby bird is struggling to get up there with that other mitten. Of course, I was thinking that the other bird obviously is sitting on top of its mitten going, ha ha, I'm done. It's not. I'll fix that in a little bit. So for my sentiment, I want to add in that may your days be cheery and bright. So I want to say this one comes from the Cheery and Bright stamp set from Lawn Fawn. Yeah, I think so. It's the one with the little stick tree and the little reindeer on it, I think. And a little squirrel, I think. I will double check and make sure to list it below. I'm going to stamp that with my Salvaged Patina Distress Oxide ink after I added some anti-static powder, and then I'm going to go over the top of it with some Salvaged Patina gloss. What is it called? Glaze. Is it Glaze? I think it's the Glaze. The Distress Glaze. I'm going to flick off whatever is kind of, sticking to the sheet. Usually one little light tap on the back kind of dislodges anything that might be sticking where it's not supposed to be sticking. Once my sentiment is looking good on the bottom there, I can actually go in. Oh, see, it was that Cheery and Bright. And I wanted to do that may your days be. And so I was trying to figure out placement. I kind of wanted it up on the top, but it just wasn't going to work with where my snowflake was located. So if my snowflake would have been cut a little bit lower, I probably would have gone on the top with my sentiment. But since it wasn't, I needed to switch it up just a little bit. And you will see me go, well, yeah, I'm trying to figure it out, and I don't like the long sentiment over the top of the Cheery and the bright. I like when you have that little sentiment on top of a longer sentiment. I just like the look of that. At least for this one I did. Sometimes I'm good with the other, but and so you'll see me put these back because I just wasn't in love with how my sentiment was looking. So of course Lawn Fawn has many options, and so I think I brought in the Furry and Bright set, and I'm using a partial stamp from that one, or I'm going to stamp a partial sentiment on this one. So may your day be, and this one says Furry and Bright, but this way I can do the Cheery and Bright underneath it. So, you know, the great thing about Lawn Fawn is that you can mix and match so many of their sentiments kind of go, and they're different sizes, so you can kind of get different looks different ways with the same, you know what I mean. It is what it is. So I'm going to heat set that with some clear embossing powder over that VersaFine Onyx Black ink. I tried heat setting it with just the VersaFine Onyx Black ink, but it is on that metallic cardstock that I picked up from envelopes.com, and it just doesn't dry very well. It probably would have if I had let it sit for multiple days, but we all know how patient I am and how good I am at smearing things, so it was just faster to go over it with that clear embossing powder. So of course I found, I was like looking at it, I'm like, what's missing? I'm like, oh, his nose. So of course that other little birdie ended up having to put the nose on, so he's not quite done with his work yet. So then I will add this onto a light purple card base. It kind of goes with that crushed velvet colored ink in the background, so it kind of just flows. You do definitely miss out on some of my color blend on that back panel because it's not the full panel, but I do like how this one turned out. I added a little bit of those Distress diamond sickles for a little snow mound on there, and my snowman is complete. I hope you have an amazing day. Keep getting inky. Bye!